Here it is, 20-foot tiny house on wheels, homemade, home designed in SketchUp. Pretty harsh light, kind of hard to see. I apologize. On the underside of this overhang is 2 feet, cantilevered out. Got a little accent of color, and a little green. Same siding under there. The siding is cedar siding product, clapboard, so it all overhangs. Each piece overhangs the next by an inch. Little accent of color on the dormer triangle. For the siding, I burned every single piece of this siding with a blowtorch, so that's why you get the black highlights in the grain. Fastened all this siding, every studs are 16-inch on center with these, I think they're probably 2 3/8 inch ring shanked stainless nails, so you won't get any of that black streaking that you generally get with like a galvanized or electroplated nail in cedar. The roof is it's called a Tough Rib product from a company here called Bridger Steel. Way up top, see I got a roofing anchor that I installed there, and those they go over the house, so it's same on the other side. That I put that in there because I was thinking if you ever did need to get on the roof for anything, shoveling snow off of it or any maintenance or anything, it'd be nice to be able to tie off on it, because I didn't want to have to throw a rope over that vented ridge cap, because I think you could potentially damage it if you put all your body weight on it. Under here, little 4-inch soffits have got ridge vents for the vented roof design. The wainscot lower paneling on the siding is just 3/4 inch corrugated steel, galvanized. So around front, we've got the hitch here. Super nice micro adjustment with getting it level and stuff with this handle here. The trailer is made specifically for tiny houses by a company called Iron Eagle in Portland, and it's a 20-foot long trailer, 2 5/16 inch ball hitch. So up front I've built this storage locker, so you can store a pretty long pair of skis in there. Those are cross-country skis. Snowboard kind of tucked in the side. And then on the right side, so in here I've got a couple of eye hooks, one down there and then one about head level. Just gonna pop those. And then this is split in two. Down low, I was thinking storage for tools. I was originally thinking of putting like a camp stove down in there, fits perfectly. Camping tents and sleeping bags or tools or whatever. And then on the right side I was planning to hang. It has enough room for 3 adult-sized sleeping bags, because we have down sleeping bags. Nice storage for that, so you don't have to keep them tight, folded up. All of the framing on this portion is actually done in cedar. So cedar sheathing. And this middle piece is cedar. Thought that would help, since I was planning on storing some sleeping bags out here. Didn't want moths getting in them. So this hitch storage locker needs to be removed whenever you move the tiny house, because it protrudes out too far, and if you were to try to maneuver a truck, the truck bumper would likely hit the tiny house shed. So it's actually fastened to that wall with 1, 2, 3, and then there's another one in here, 4 3/8 inch bolts that tighten into some coupling nuts that I embedded into some blocking inside the tiny house, which I can show you that. So this is a pretty sweet little storage shed, holds a ton of gear, a ton of tools. Just got a little clip here. When I installed this, it worked perfectly, and then at one point the wind blew this door and kind of messed with the hinge a bit. So the hinge on, I'm pretty sure this side needs to be adjusted and modified just a little bit to get this to move over like a 1/16 of an inch so that this can be properly turned. So that was kind of a disappointing thing that happened. Just a huge windstorm just bashed that door open. But yeah, I've just got 1, 2 hinges in both doors, so shouldn't be too bad of a fix though. Just, of course, have not had time. And then so those bolts, they go through, and then you can't see it, the lighting's too bad, but they go into through the siding and into blocking that's on the other side of the sheathing. This siding is actually, if you listen to the knock, it sounds hollow because the siding is stood off from the sheathing, from the Tyvek, by 3/8 of an inch using Coravent rain screen. So these really heavy duty sturdy plastic strips that I installed over top of the Tyvek onto where the studs are on the other side of the wall. And then I drove all these, I hand drove actually all these stainless nails. I was just concerned about using a gun and having it bust all that out and kind of blow out that natural wood. So these are all hand driven through the Coravent strips, which caused them to stand off a bit. So then that meant around the penetrations for windows and vents and such, and at the top and at the bottom, and because of this design at the middle as well, there are screens to prevent bugs from getting in behind the siding, between the Tyvek and the siding. So it just allows for air flow, keep the siding dry so it's never going to rot, and there won't be any bugs back there because there are little screens to prevent them from doing so. So there will be a small amount of exterior work that needs to be done. The only thing I didn't get to on the exterior was caulking between trim and the siding for everything on this wall. So you got one window penetration for the Lunos Ego, which is an air exchange unit, and then that window and that upper dormer window all need to be caulked between the trim and the siding. I already caulked between the window and the trim, which I just did along the sides. I didn't do on the top or the bottom. Reason being that top has the Z flashing. I actually did a custom Z flashing that actually has a little 15-degree bend on it, so that if water were to get its way behind the siding, hits the Tyvek, it would flow down. I flashed over that Z flashing so the water would run off of it and it would have a way out through that Z flashing, which matched super well with the color. You might not even be able to see it, that upper bit there. So what else we got? Let's go around to the license plate side. It's just registered in Montana, permanent registration, which we can get transferred over pretty easily as just a utility trailer that just happens to have a structure built on it. So here we've got vent for the showers right there, and that also needs to be caulked between the trim and the siding. And then this window also needs to be caulked between the trim and the siding. And we wanted to put up some Christmas lights, so we've got this is already pre-done. You can just pop in the electrical wiring, have an external power, plug things in outdoors. This here is a custom-made potable water fill station. So the idea here was just get a little tool in here and you can back this plug out. So the idea here was I was going to basically probably just take a stained piece of plywood, caulk it in, and drill holes in it that would have the fill port for however big you wanted. I was going to use I think a 40 or 50 gallon storage tank, kind of RV storage tank on the inside, just inside here. So you'd have a little tiny one as a kind of a overfill, some small diameter, maybe 1/4 inch overfill tube that would come out right here, and then the bigger tube, bigger port that would be here that you could use to fill it, gravity fill it. Shut that down. Put this up to prevent snow from getting on me while I was working this winter. This is an old freezer that I got for free that I was going to convert to a Japanese soaking tub / shower that fits, so it's kind of designed to fit in there. I'll show you that here in a sec. So here we go with the inside. Let it adjust here for a second. There we go. So, let's give you a quick look around. So this was going to be the living room. Couch built in along the back. All kinds of storage down in there. Reason why I was thinking the couch would be here, set off from the wall, is that I was planning a Murphy bed, kind of a futon mattress, something a bit thinner that would be installed here so it slams against the wall and then it can fold out over the couch and the footrest right here. So pre-finished, just 2x6s, look really nice. Black painted hangers. This is a double 2x LVL that is the cantilevered piece, so that is super stout, not going anywhere. You'll notice I'm super anal, so I spray foamed in little areas where like this was a nail that I had missed on the siding. Just barely missed that one, so I spray foamed it. And then we got these I spray foamed. This is just the top of the nut for this all thread that serves as kind of a hold down. It runs all the way through to the bottom of the trailer and through the top plate, and that kind of will hold everything together. So we got one there, got another one there. Let it focus up here. And then I also have traditional home style hold down Simpsons. One, another one over there, two around the door, and this one around the wheel well header. There's one down in there. And then there are a couple more. There's one in the middle there, and we got 2 on these corners with the other style hold downs, which are the all thread rods. And then another one down in there, and another one down there. So this thing is not going anywhere. And you saw the vented roof soffits, and I also had installed screens over those holes so they're double protected from any critters getting into your vented roof system. Got a beautiful Velux skylight that's going to be right in the kitchen. So yeah, we back to the kind of floor plan here. Living room / potential bedroom if you go with the Mervue bed design, which you don't have to, of course. Stairs that are gonna come up this wall, doink, doink, doink. Air exchange unit built into one of the stairs. So this is already totally pre-installed, solid in here. I just installed this because I wasn't sure how solid this was gonna be, but it is actually, it's rock solid. So this is totally actually worthless, but kind of gave me a little peace of mind. So this is actually double air sealed. I've got one of these Tescon Vana tape with this super badass, super airtight sleeve, and there's one on the inside and there's actually a similar one on the outside. So this penetration is airtight. So, kitchen right here, gonna have a sink right below the window there. And the reason why, so I'm standing here, I'm 6 feet tall, camera's at my head level. This window seems kind of high, as does that one. That is because this layout was designed to have some stairs right about here coming up into a kind of a mini lofted kitchen bathroom area. So right at where that blue tape is, that's kind of the finished floor line for my design, so that you can run plumbing and just kind of do all kinds of good stuff underneath there. Have a bit of a crawl space. In my SketchUp I had designed some trapdoors for like big backpacks and other stuff, and so that lofted area would start with this blue tape, come over to here, and then it's angling back to about here, and then cutting over to the wall, which leaves this zone where this flashing tape is. That would be where I was going to install a small wood stove. So it would be on the ground floor here, go up, and the roof penetration would be on the 10-12 pitch area, not the 312 flatter. So yeah, back to the kitchen. Sink right under there. You'd be standing up here so you can see out the window. And then next to that, you'd have your cooktop right here. This would be sort of your walking aisle. Over here I was gonna do fridge and some cabinets. And then you hit the bathroom. So the bathroom plan was to build a divider wall right on the right side of that window, or the skylight rather. And so your bathroom, then you'd be stepping in right here, boom, sink. If you wanted it, we were not going to put a sink in the bathroom because the sink in the kitchen's so close. Likely just the toilet here and shower here. And the shower actually is going to be sunken down into that elevated floor. And that would just kind of give you a little bit more headroom in the shower and allow for crawling up and over into that Japanese soaking tub. Make that a little bit easier on you. And you'll see here I caulked in any nail hole that I had, any shiners from framing. I popped them back out here. I obviously missed a bunch, but thankfully that was not the case for the majority of the project. This was just one that I mismeasured as I was nailing. But yeah, a few, of course, as that happens with any project, I missed a few. And so I either, if I caught it when it was in the moment, I backed them out and then resunk them, came back in later and caulked those holes. But there were a few that I had missed, and I couldn't back them out because the siding was on or whatever. And so with those, like that little guy there, kind of spray foamed in over some missed nails. And then of course spray foamed on top of those nuts there, and kind of sealed that off on the top plate. Oh yeah, you got a pre-finished ridge beam. It's a double LVL 2x12, designed by a friend of mine who's a structural engineer, so the calcs on that are all set. That thing is not going anywhere. The roof rafters are actually 2x6s that I shaved an inch off of every single one. So it ends up at 4.5 inch deep roof. So the idea being I could use 2x4 rock wool insulation in the roof cavity and still have that inch under the roof sheathing to create that baffled space for venting the roof. And then you can see that there's a little bit of a slit between the roof sheathing and the ridge beam. There's a little gap there, that's for the venting. And then I had a friend donate a ton of this super nice pre-finished hardwood flooring. Plenty of it, more than enough to do the tiny house, so that'll look really nice. Oh, the water fill. So this is the interior of the water fill. So the idea being you get a kind of maybe a 12-inch tall long tank that's under here, under the finished floor zone, and then there's your fill. Boom, super short little hose tube connection to the plastic, probably plastic tank that's going to be sitting right here on the floor. And then we got other plumbing things and stuff kind of snaking around here. I was going to use a Precision Temp RV floor vented propane heater on demand for the water, and that was going to go somewhere about in this zone under the sink. Super short run to the shower. There's the inside of your already ready to go shower vent. Nice and high up in there. I was going to have to build like a kind of a ceiling on that, sort of hide all that mechanical HVAC stuff. But I planned that all out, so it'll finish just above the window there. I think you might be able to see a little bit of a pencil mark where I had planned that ceiling to be. Oh, these windows are great. I'm gonna get all this foam trimmed up here. But yeah, these are super nice windows, Pella windows. The little rollout design fiberglass frames. So better than wood in my opinion. Don't have to finish them. They're super solid. Good R value. Great windows. Any of the long, narrow windows are kind of awning style, which is nice. The only window that doesn't open is the one above the door. That is strictly for light. Look at that beautiful door. That is a custom built door, hemlock wood, made locally. And then I just installed the hardware and I finished it with a coat of, I stained it and then put some polyurethane, exterior polyurethane on it. So yeah, again, we got the stairs kind of coming up here. The air exchanger hides is hidden in one of the stairs. I got that all designed out in SketchUp. Then you come up in here to the loft. This is it. Pretty sweet little loft space, nice and cozy. A couple of windows for egress if there is an emergency. Pop that screen out, and your average person is going to be able to fit through that window. I think they're 16 or 18 inches perhaps. Does not meet fire code, however, you'll be fine. And we got the pre-finished double LVLs looking real sexy. Gonna want to put a coat of poly on that, finish it off. I didn't get around to doing that, or just cover it up with your own trim. Here's just some of the structural details on how that transition from the 312 to the 1012 was done. Got a little nailer board that runs along there for the exterior siding. You can see up in there, I kind of missed a couple times. And so I foamed in a few missed nails because I'm super anal. Oh, okay, and so this is some 1/2" foam that I'll give you. It's pretty standard here. We did these headers so that you could just pop that right in there. A little insulation, there's a little 1/2" gap that would fit in. And then the extra rigid blue foam, I was gonna build a box. That's why I left this space here around the wheel well. Kind of keep that thermally isolated a bit more. Oh, and another thing too, I took a lot of care in doing the floor framing. This trailer is built, you may notice if it were a typical trailer, you probably wouldn't see a whole lot of this because I would have built the floor frame with 2x6 up on the deck, which would have reduced all the height headroom. And so when they build these trailers, they actually recess it down into the floor cavity. So the 2x6 framing, it's just framed like a deck. You know, I've got a couple of 2x6 ledgers running here, another one there, and that's framed every 24 inches just across. It's like a deck. And so between the trailer metal framing and my deck floor framing, I put a piece of that 1" blue foam between them that's sandwiched in there, and then used these just bolts and tightened them down and kind of effectively created a thermal bridge, not a thermal bridge, a thermal break between the floor framing and the cold metal. And then I also lifted the floor off of the trailer by 1.5 inches. That's what this foam is here, so that the only piece of floor framing that's touching is the bottom plate. So this is the only piece that's touching the actual trailer. The rest of the floor framing wood is in no way touching the metal, which is pretty cool. Super good thermal break design with that. Oh, these are just these are to accept the screws for the wainscot metal siding. So those screws are cleanly sunk and embedded into these little mini blockings. I just wanted a mini. I didn't want a ton of extra wood in this cavity that was unnecessary, so I can get more insulation in there. Planning to use 2x4 rock wool, mineral wool insulation, which is of course going to be 3.5 inches deep. This is the blocking for the different nuts coupling nuts that I embedded into these blockings here, and then the hitch unit, which I was telling you about earlier, has those bolts that secure into these blockings, and these screws are driven into the hex, the coupling nuts to keep them more secure in there, so that they will resist pulling out, and they're also caulked and glued in there.